Genius. Let's talk about the present moment. Let's talk about, oops. Let's talk about, some of you guys are wondering too much. We'll talk about the present moment. We'll talk about the wandering minds. We'll talk about some of the benefits and the consequences, and then some examples. So, when I tell you guys to stay in the meditative state throughout the day, I'm going to start breaking things down in videos to talk about what that means specifically. So before I'm going to keep giving the examples that before I even got onto the enlightenment journey and the spirituality, one of the things that happened, that I had some beliefs in me that I just never lived in lack, and that gave me a beautiful life. That kept me comfortable even when I was struggling financially. Another thing that happened that boosted my career tremendously, just exponentially, which was I by accident discovered that I was in this one interview, and I was so present in that interview that for the whole 90 minutes, I didn't have any thoughts. I was so present when I was in this building with a few executives. And when I was listening to them so deeply without any thoughts in my mind that I started to say things back to them. And it almost turned out that I was interviewing all 5 of them. Because one of them told me at the end, they're like, well, I felt like you just took my interview. And I just laughed. I was like, yeah, I want to know if I'll enjoy working with you. I want to get out of the bed with a smile. I want to jump out of bed in the morning. And of course, they gave me an offer before I even left the door. So I was driving home that day, and I was like, I said a lot of things in there that I felt like I didn't even know. Where did that information come from? How did I even speak so eloquently? How was I able to formulate my thoughts with so much grace and charm? Because I felt like somebody took over my body, did that whole show, like Will Smith in Pursuit of Happiness, when he goes into the interview and he has paint all over his clothes and he looked like a mess. And they asked him a question: what would you think if you were in my shoes and you were interviewing some guy who forgot to put a dress shirt on, put a nice clean shirt on? And he made a joke and he says, well, I would think that he must have some really good pants on. And they all laughed. They gave him a job. So one of the things that shocked me was that I was replaying the whole interview in my mind, and I'm smiling the whole time I'm driving back home, and I'm shocked. I was like, that wasn't even me. What happened? How did I say those things? Where did that come from? And I just took a long drive. I drove for like 2 hours. I was thinking about it because I was so shocked at what had just happened, what I just witnessed, as an awareness, as if I'm watching my body just impress me. Yes, I impressed them, and they gave me a job on the spot. And they canceled all the other interviews for the position. And it didn't look like I did it. And I called my brother and I said, you better try this. I was like, and I didn't know how to explain it at the time because I had just seen it for the first time ever. And I was like, next time when you have an interview, have no thoughts in your mind. And when you have no thoughts in your mind and you're listening and you're watching and you're paying attention, answers will just sort of flow through you somehow, some way. I didn't know any spirituality. I hadn't read a book. I hadn't done anything. This was a long time ago. This was in like 2014. You know, yeah, 2012, 2014, something like that. A decade ago. This was a couple of years prior to when I started to read books. Yeah. And then I followed through with my own advice. And when I would have meetings, I would do the same thing. And somehow the same thing continued to happen. I used to have public speaking fears. You know, they say, is it the first or the second biggest fear in the world of people is public speaking? Like people would rather be dead than to do public speaking or something like that. It's up there. It's like top two, public speaking. And I would be in a meeting where there are 200 people on the line. And they would be like, any questions? Boop, I have a question. And there's executives, CEOs, everybody's there. And I start to question the quality of the data and how they manage the data and how they store the data and how does the automation get impacted by certain data and what is the process? Is it documented? Is it, where do they keep the data and from different organizations for the governance and compliance? How do they manage all of this? And I'm like, what the heck did I just ask? And they were like, good question. I don't know how to answer your question because I don't know the answer. But can you call me offline? Because I want to write down what you asked me so I can go and find out how we're managing our data and how that impacts our automation and how that's impacting our AI new tools that we're working on and implementing. And how do we bring it together yet keep it separate for different security reasons for HIPAA compliances and our audit compliances and governance and different controls at different layers that are affected in different domains, so we can still have entities that are separated, yet we can holistically still be able to get audited, right? Anyway, so it was really fun. And when I got out of there and I went to sit with this executive to have this conversation, and I was like, I don't know how I'm going to break this down and explain it to him. So he wanted a list of things for me to ask and then follow through with the fact that have we done it or not. It was amazing. Very good experience. But I've done coaching for a long time. I think that's what makes me a good teacher, perhaps, because I've been a coach for a long time. I do business coaching. So I coach executives, I coach vice presidents and directors and teams and launching teams, and I do all that. So I help people with not only processes, but the entire life cycle of delivery, from inception to production deliveries, and I teach how to make them lean, how to create different scaled so that you can have traceabilities and everything else. But anyway, now I'm going off tangent here. Let's come back to the power of present moment. That's what I really want to focus on, the power of present moment. That when you have no thoughts, when you can figure out how to completely be in the present moment, when you give your complete attention to somebody, they can feel it. And when I have that moment here on the camera with you guys are feeling it, at least the ones that have harmonized their energy centers. You guys are telling me that when I do my 5 minutes of meditation with you guys at the end of some of the videos, or when I say certain things, and sometimes the whole time, some of you guys can, by the way, see my field. You guys even know what color my field is. Well, wild, isn't it? This is how you become mystical. Use the power of the present moment. Figure out how to make your awareness muscle stronger so that you can begin to expand what is around you and you can feel the field and frequency around you. And then you figure out how far can your awareness go? How far can you expand your field using your awareness? How do you make that muscle strong? And then that's divergent focus. And then you come to the convergent focus. Ow. Pull something in my bicep. I get too excited. See, this is what happens. And then the convergent focus on specific energy centers. And when you're doing that for minutes at a time, before you go to the next energy centers, and then you get good at it even further. So now you're using attention and awareness at the same time. How? Because you're focused on something I do, 1, 4, 6, 8 at the same time. So I'm using convergent and divergent focus at the same time. That's when the magic happens. Some of you guys were asking me last night, why do I always have so much energy? I don't know. I am energy. Anyway, the best present you can give any human is your complete presence with no thought in your mind. You will realize that at work. You will realize that in your meetings. You will realize that with your loved ones. Sometimes when I'm talking to one of you guys on Facebook, or not Facebook, FaceTime, or on camera, or when I am talking to somebody, I went to my happy place, my thinking place. There's a place by the water that I like to go to, and there's you can feed some fish, and there's beautiful colored snakes. I mean, there's a distance between me and them, obviously, but I like to go there, and I just look at them, and what that does is it helps me meditate. Essentially, I'm watching them. There's some certain fishes that will go down into the water, and they'll create this little space that is almost like their bed or their house, and they sort of defend that little hole that they just dug. And these fish, but then they'll come running to me when I throw food, and I'm just watching it, and I'm like a baby curious. I'm like, what are they thinking? Why did you make that house? And then why is it that there's only 5 of you that are making the house and everybody else is just doing this little thing together? I was like, okay, so those are the elites. There's 5 mansions in this pond, and everybody else is just everybody else. And it's just very, very entertaining for me. And I'm in real time keep staying present while I do this. And at the same time, I'm having some alligator. I like to eat alligator nuggets. So I'm having my favorite alligator nuggets, and I'm having a drink, and I'm watching this, and I'm staying present. And of course, strangers come up to me and talk to me, which is the wildest thing ever. That has started to happen 2 years ago, which was a very unique thing. I'm getting used to it now. Strangers will literally come and stand next to me, and they'll start asking me questions, and they'll start communicating and talking to me. And if it's a lady, and I give her my complete attention, I don't know how, sometimes she just starts blushing, or she'll be like, why are you looking at me like that? It's not a creepy stare either, guys. It's just a complete present that I'm giving her. And believe it or not, it is very well appreciated. It is very well appreciated by gentlemen. There are couples that will approach me, and we'll have a conversation about different things. I have, every time I go out alone, I'm never alone. People are talking to me all the time. I was standing in that same spot last time I went there, and next thing I knew, in under 30 minutes, and I know the entire staff. They know me. They know what I like. I'm having a good time having a conversation with them, and then random people started to approach me. And next thing you know, I had 15 people around me talking to me. That was such a weird thing. I was like, I need a mic or something at this point to continue this conversation and start taking some questions. It was such a wild experience. But guys, in this spiritual path, you will experience a lot of weird things will happen to you. Why? Synchronicities, coincidences, your personality is changing. You're changing genetically, biologically, electromagnetically, chemically. And that changes everything around you, how people attract you, how they see you. And when you become powerful with your present moment, with the awareness being strong, with your attention muscles being strong, you become a light. You become a light through which God flows, through which source flows, through which your higher self flows through. You will not even have to think about what to respond and say to people. Those things will just come and flow right through you. Not only are people listening impressed, you are impressed. It's as if you're watching a show that is happening through you. It is entertaining you and inspiring you just as much as it's inspiring the audience. And when that happens, you can't help but be in awe of life. You can't help but be in love with life. You can't help but bless everybody. You can't help but be generous. You can't help but be patient and kind. You don't even know how to judge. What the heck is anger, envy, jealousy? What is that? What are you talking about? Right? So all the low vibrational things begin to just leave. And sometimes when they come, you can observe them. And there's this instant separation. Why? The power of the present moment, clear mind, strong awareness muscles, strong attention muscles. Keep doing the work. How about we get in for a few minutes? Close your eyes, get relaxed. Okay. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath. And you feel the space around your head. Okay. Come back. Sorry, guys. I'm going in too deep. I can't do that on camera. I need to meditate. Okay. Okay. Oh. Okay. Yes. Okay. I want you guys to do something right after this video. Just sit and feel the energy around your head and see how far you can expand it. And then you drop it and you pay attention to your heart. And you focus on it for a few minutes. You don't need music, you don't need anything else. Just for a few minutes. And then you get up and you raise your energy. I'm going to go meditate. I love you.